find it?
It ain't nothing but the biggest river in the state.
These are the men. Nothing very unusual about them. Suburban guys like you or your neighbor. Nothing very unusual about them until they decided to spend one weekend canoeing down the Cohulawasi River. Ed Gentry, he runs an art service. Wife Martha has a boy, Dean. Lewis Medlock has real estate interests, talks about resettling in New Zealand or Uruguay. Drew Ballinger, he's sales supervisor for a soft drink company. Bobby Tripp, bachelor, insurance and mutual funds.
Will you go in? All right, I'm looking.
These are the men who decided not to play golf that weekend. Instead, they sought the river.
Would you like to get it?
You look around, you Lewis. He could be out there anywhere watching us right now. We ain't gonna be so nice not hard to follow dragging a corpse.
Lewis, I'm gonna pull off to the side. There's something wrong. No, go on.
What is it? Oh, stop, man! Go ahead up to the point! No, no!
John Boorman's film of James Dickey's explosive best-selling novel.
Hey there, welcome to Dave's Movie Diary. Today I am talking about Deliverance from 1972. Wow. One of the most talked about films of the 70s for good reason. Survival thriller, morality tale, definitely a study of masculinity. A film whose reputation based on a couple of key scenes, one in particular, I think have often overshadowed how good this movie really is when you sit down and watch it. But that's only a tiny part of what makes this film so powerful and really works well. Quickly, the plot, I think the trailer sums it up well, but it's four Atlanta businessmen decide to head into rural Georgia to take a canoe trip on a river just before it's going to be flooded to make a new dam. What begins as an outdoor adventure gradually turns into a fight for survival. And there's a specific act of violence that changes everything. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. I won't ruin it for others if you haven't got around to this one yet. The group become divided about what to do next following that. And to get out of there, the journey back home to safety becomes not just physical, but psychological and absolutely a moral journey. So the real story isn't about just what happens sequentially. It's what happens to these men going forward as well. What's my history with the film? I saw it ages ago. Early to mid-'80s probably. I probably saw it too young now. Well, I definitely did. I can't believe how young I was when I saw it. And I already kind of knew what to expect. There was a lot of talk around. There's always been a lot of talk around about this film. My dad's a big fan. He talked about it. He was shocked by it. I can't imagine what it was like when it came out in 1972. So I can see why it made a big impression on him. And what I remember about it is, like everyone else probably, the key scenes, the dueling banjos, the confrontation with the mountain men later on, and elements about what happens after that. What I didn't appreciate now with the rewatch is what it took to make this film, and knowing how it was done, the performances, the successful use of tension and the realism. I'm amazed at how controlled it is. The pacing, the atmosphere. It's a masterpiece. It's a lot more authentic than most modern thrillers that are CGI'd or done to make a buck or for other reasons. This one doesn't have any superheroes. There's no special effects. It feels like a doco. It's just watching these ordinary guys dealing with extraordinary circumstances and how they deal with that. Very compelling. John Borman made this. I think he was the perfect director for this story. Bit of a maverick. Look, it doesn't get mentioned enough when we talk about great directors of the 70s. It's all taken up by Spielberg, Scorsese, to a lesser extent De Palma and people like that. Look, he made an absolute classic in the late 60s with Point Blank, that Lee Marvin film that was remade into Payback with Mel Gibson in the late 90s. After this film, he had some ups and downs. A down was The Exorcist 2 in 77. That's a disaster. But he bounces back with Excalibur and Hope and Glory in the 80s. Also, Emerald Forest is worth watching. His son's in that, Charlie Borman. Charlie Borman, incidentally, went on to have an interesting career making a lot of documentaries about his journeys. And I think it's him with David Beckham riding motorbikes in South America. Could be wrong, but I think it's him. What Borman understands in this is that nature doesn't care. The river isn't evil. It's not heroic. It's just there. It's implacable. It's like the ocean. It's a force we can't control, but it makes a great trope for a film. And by the way, the novel is excellent as well, the James Dickey novel. I had the fortune to find it by chance and read it. It's brilliant. It's just as unsettling as the film adaptation, and it's rare that the book and the film are equally successful. So well done to everyone involved. James Dickey, I believe, was a consultant on this film. He's a bit of a maverick himself. I don't know how well that relationship worked, but anyway, they got the job done. So the influence of the river, apart from the clash between the locals and the city slickers, is a really interesting part of this. The wilderness isn't hunting the men, but it's there, and it's just as intimidating, more so actually, for the most part, than the mountain men. So the central theme of this film really is what I just mentioned: the civilization versus the wilderness. It's not a film about canoeing. Canoeing's the vehicle for us to discover a lot of other things that the filmmaker's trying to say. It's not about survival or violence. For me, it's what remains when civilization's stripped away. Now, there's lots of ways of looking at that. It's about people interacting with the physical wilderness, but also about a clash of civilizations between the four men who come canoeing. They bring with them their backgrounds, their careers, their status, their social structures. They come and they're looking down on the locals, and that's a whole different dynamic. And I don't know that it had ever been explored in such detail in a big film like this. So I find that clash interesting, and it's really nuanced as well. It's not just played for effect. It's not cinematic. There's variations. There's the Burt Reynolds character, the alpha male, and then there's the Ned Beatty character who's just trying to make jokes. And then the other two characters, Voight and Ronnie Cox, are somewhere in the middle, and they can appreciate the locals and appreciate what they're about to get into. So it's done in a realistic way. Anyhow, the river doesn't care. And it's a real battle against the environment. And I feel like it was one of the first films that raised this question. On to the performances. Burt Reynolds as the alpha male. It's one of his best, if not his best performance in my book. It's before he really became a big star. This film made him. And then he had a huge 70s with films like The Longest Run, the Smokey and the Bandit franchise. The Cannonball Run kicked off in the early 80s. This is before he became the charming superstar. And this character, the Lewis character, really represents self-reliance, toughness. He's a survivalist. He's willing to pit himself against the toughest situations and see how he reacts. He's got the confidence that he's going to come out on top. When I watch this, I'm not sure if anyone's ever been more alpha. I mean, it's Burt Reynolds for a start. That guy screams alpha. He's a man of his times, not very PC, a charmer, a womanizer, ex-football player in college. He's got the right physique. He's got this incredible cut-off wetsuit. Shows his jacked up physique in his arms, big hairy chest. Hey, it's the 70s. He spends the first half of the film insisting he's prepared for anything. He's wrong. He then becomes a bit of a liability, so watch out for that. I think summing him up, the film quietly takes his philosophy apart and dismantles it. All right, John Voight, he's the real hero of the piece. He's the emotional center of the film. Perfect for his energy that he usually brings. He's intelligent, not flashy, not as charismatic as Burt. Definitely not a dominant force. He's the beta to Reynolds' alpha. Feels like an ordinary man. He's got relatable feelings. He's a family man. He's thinking of his family. We see the scenes with his family before he comes here. He gradually becomes the leader. Not because he seeks it out, but circumstances demand it. I think it's a very impressive performance, and there's a scene where he climbs a cliff face, and it's done for real. Incredibly, this is the times that we're dealing with, 1972. Anyway, it sets off. It builds on his Midnight Cowboy performance from '69. He goes on to have a huge 70s with films, including The Odessa File. What else? Conrack, that's an understated performance. Obviously, Coming Home and on The Champ in '79. And he still has a good 80s with Runaway Train and a few other films. Shows up in Heat in '95. But probably when he passes, this film will be front and center of his epitaph. Ned Beatty, extraordinary debut. Just a real actor of the times. Not sure he'd be working much these days. You've got to have a certain look and feel now. Back then, they appreciated societies made up of a wide cross-section of people. He's not a leading man. He doesn't have any of the leading man energy. He's short, stumpy. But he does have his own charisma. He brings vulnerability to this role. A lot of fear, and that's justified when you know the scene I'm talking about. And then dealing with that in pre-woke times. How do you deal with something so traumatic? So he brings a lot of authenticity. The character feels real, not a movie character. A real person who's completely overwhelmed by the events. It's got to be one of the strongest film debuts of the decade, if not longer. Lastly, Ronny Cox. He provides the moral center of the film. It's an often overlooked performance. People probably remember Ronny Cox from the lieutenant in the Beverly Hills Cop franchise, which he was great. He really brings conscience and morality and nearly like a 2026 mentality to things. He's interested in the philosophy and the right moral choices, which really rubs up against Burt Reynolds' character. He's continually questioning what the others are becoming. Right from the get-go, he feels like the odd man out in this quartet, and that definitely is the case when some of the key scenes happen. Look, the dueling banjos, you have to recognize that. It's one of the most famous scenes in cinema history. Why does it work? It pops up at a really good time in the film because up until then, it's when the four city slickers are trying to negotiate with the locals about driving their cars to the end of the river so that they can then finish the canoe ride, jump into their cars and drive back home. And there's a lot of uncomfortable moments there with the clash of civilization. There's a lot of mistrust. There's a lot of back and forth and um, troubling moments. And then out of nowhere, they happen upon the young man with the banjo, and Drew and the young fella get into it with the dueling banjo scene. The music's great for one thing. It's really charming and funny and shows a humanistic side. Both the locals and the intruders stand back and just appreciate humanity. Strips away a lot of the tension and misunderstanding. And the film's really known for this scene and one other. I talked about the river as a character. It's a fantastic achievement. It's incredible that this film even got made, because I understand that the studio pulled out all the insurance for the film, and so it was like, you can make it if you want, but you're not going to be covered. When you watch this with the rapids and some of the scenes there, and knowing that most of the actors hadn't canoed before, wow, what a risk. Burt Reynolds had never been in a canoe. He looks like he was born in a canoe. He looks like he gives lessons, and his character's so assured. So that's why his performance is so great. There's no magic effects in this. The stunts are real. The physical danger is real. You can feel it. The exhaustion as well, the cold, the fear. It's so good. The realism, it's convincing. The performances are grounded, believable, nothing showy. The tension, always building, never really gets released. Even when the canoeing is over, there's still some very tense moments to come. What are the main themes? I said it at the top: masculinity front and center. There are no women in this film. It's about guys trying to solve things in guy ways that don't always go well. We know this. It's about morality and civilization, surviving. And the atmosphere is so unsettling. What may not work for some people? Let's see. The pacing mightn't work for people. Again, I get it. We're in a different age now. We're succeeding generations to me being brought up on Facebook, YouTube and Facebook Reels. Short concentration span, lots of cutting, lots of action, things constantly happening. You're not going to get that with films from this era. They work with the motto that things are deliberate. We build up the story. You get to know the characters. You get to relate to them. You feel for them, so that when those characters are put to the test, you're engaged. You can relate to them. It's not just a surface look at the characters, and by the 5th minute of the film, we're into the action. Not the case, and I like it. Not everyone will. The depiction of rural communities might be seen as patronising now, but I think it was done for a purpose, and they definitely get their comeuppance at times throughout the film. So it's of its time. It's made in 1972. The book was written a couple of years before that. It's depicting what it was like then in a specific culture and part of the US. It's part of the film's identity. There's some rough things that happen. The pivotal scene in the film is brutal. There's no getting around it. It's confrontational. It's very uncomfortable. It's provocative. That's what we want from a film. That's what I want anyway. That's what you sign up for when you watch Deliverance. So you need to reconcile that. Could this film be made today? Well, look, I think this film started a whole series of movies where it was man against the environment and survival, but nothing was made quite like this. If it was made now, it'd be louder and faster, and there'd be a lot more explanation. What makes this special? It's a one-off. Trust the audience. It allows for discomfort, puts it all out there, shows a lot of ambiguity, and leaves you to deal with it. So that's the 70s. That's how life was back then. You deal with it. This is life. What do you think? What do you feel? So look, summing up, this is one of the great American films of the 70s. It's shocking. It shocks now. That's incredible that it makes us feel something. I love it. I always say it. I want films that make me have an emotional kick. It's an honest film. It's a film about what happens when modern life falls away and people are forced to discover who they really are about the trappings that we've built up around us. So, one of the great survival films. Burt Reynolds' best performance, along with Boogie Nights. It's essential viewing for anyone who loves and enjoys films. So check it out. I think it's on HBO Max is where I found it. So I'd be keen to find out what you think about it. All right, that's it for now. See you next time.